Glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. हरे कृष्णा। कृपया सब कोई अपने अपने स्थान पर बैठ जाइए। अभी नरसिंह आरती होगी। नमस्ते नरसिंहाय। नमस्ते नरसिंहाय। यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंह। यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंह। बहिर्नरसिंह हृदये नरसिंह। हृदये नरसिंह। नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपदे। तव कर कमलवरे नखम् अद्भुत शृङ्गारं दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गा केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा। जय जगदीश हरे। जय जगदीश हरे। जय जगदीश हरे। कर कमलवरे अद्भुत गीता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गा। जय केशवधृता नरहरि रूपा। जय जगदीश हरे। जय जगदीश हरे। जय जगदीश हरे। केशवधृता नरहरि रूपा। जय जगदीश हरे। जय जगदीश हरे। जय जगदीश हरे। जय नरसिंहदेव नरसिंहदेव नरसिंहदेव। जय नरसिंहदेव। जय प्रहलाद महाराज। प्रहलाद महाराज। प्रहलाद महाराज। जय प्रहलाद महाराज। प्रेम से बोले सर्व विघ्न विनाशक श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिंहदेव भगवान की। भक्त शरण से प्रहलाद महाराज की। हरे कृष्णा। अभी यहाँ भगवत गीता पे प्रवचन होगा। There will be class on Bhagavad Gita here from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. So those who want to listen it, please be kindly seated. हरे कृष्णा। अभी यहाँ पर 7:30 से 8:30 बजे तक भगवत गीता पे प्रवचन होगा, तो जो कोई भी इसे सुनना चाहते हैं कृपया यहाँ पे बैठे रहें।
हरे कृष्णा। हरे कृष्णा। कृपया बैठ जाइएगा। काइंडली बी सीटेड। हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्ण।
हरे कृष्ण।
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारे, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारे, गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवर धरे, जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवर धरे, यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन, यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन, यमुना तीरा बनचारे, यमुना तीरा, यमुना तीरा बनचारे, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारे, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Yagya ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Shri Gopal ki jai, Shri Shri Gaurnitai Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Not
We are very fortunate to have it.
Not working.
Hare Krishna. So we are very fortunate to have with us His Holiness Bhakti Rasayan Sagar Maharaj. He is a disciple and sannyas disciple of His Holiness Indradumna Swami Maharaj. So originally he is from Russia and he joined ISKCON Society, International Society for Krishna Consciousness in 1989 and received sannyas order from His Holiness Indradumna Maharaj in year 2016. So he's traveling globally. He has traveled whole globe for 14 times and giving practical discourses based on Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam and Vedic scriptures. So he has played a variegated leadership roles as ranging from Sankirtan leader, temple president, regional secretary, GBC, which is ISKCON's governing body commissions, the highest body of ISKCON. He is a deputy and presently he is a member of Sabha, which is the advisory body to GBC. So let us welcome Maharaj in our traditional way by loudly chanting 3 times, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Over to you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. So it's wonderful to see all of you again. And with all of your blessings, we're going to be discussing from the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, text 14. Om Agyan Timirandasya Ginandana Shalakaya Chaksharan Meditam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubevacha Patitanam Pavanepyo Vaishnavepyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutade Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Shatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. All together, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bhutay Mahat Prema Puravibur Nirmakshate Ramusha Purusha Bhungte Gunan Sudasa Satmaka Yalang Krishna Bhagavan Vachamsi Me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we don't have this text on board, but I'm pretty sure many of you know it by heart, so let's try to chant it responsively. Annat bhavanti bhutani, Annat bhavanti bhutani, Parjanyat anna sambhava, Parjanyat anna sambhava, Yagyat bhavati parjanya, Yagyat bhavati parjanya, Yagya karma samudbhavaha, Yagya karma samudbhavaha, Annat bhavanti bhutani, Parjanyatanna sambhavaha, Yagyat bhavati parjanya, Yagya karma samudbhavaha. Synonyms, please repeat. Annat, food grains. Bhavanti, grow. Bhutani, the material bodies. Parjanyat, from rains. Anna, of food grains. Sambhavaha, production. Yagyat, from the performance of sacrifice. Bhavati, becomes possible. Parjanya, rain. Yagyaha, performance of yagya. Karma, prescribed duties. Samudbhavaha, born of. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. All living bodies subsist on food grains which are produced from rains. Rains are produced by performance of yagya, sacrifice, and yagya is born of prescribed duties. Purport. Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan, a great commentator on the Bhagavad Gita, writes as follows. So that's Sanskrit. Forgive my pronunciation, but I'll try to read it. Ye indriyanyan gata yavashtiyatam yagyam sarveshwaram vishnum avyarchatatchesham asnanti tenatat deha yatram sampadayanti te santa sarveshwarasya Yagya purushasya bhakta sarva kilbishair anadikala vivridar atmanu bhava pratibantakati pratibanthakair nikhilai papai vimuchate. The Supreme Lord, who is known as Yagya, as the Yagya Purusha, or the personal beneficiary of all sacrifices, is the master of all the demigods who serve him as the different limbs of the body serve the whole. Demigods like Indra, Chandra, and Varuna are appointed officers who maintain material affairs, and the Vedas direct sacrifices to satisfy these demigods so that they may be pleased to supply air, light, and water sufficiently to produce food grains. When Lord Krishna is worshipped, the demigods who are different limbs of the Lord are also automatically worshipped. Therefore, there is no separate need to worship the demigods. For this reason, the devotees of the Lord who are in Krishna consciousness offer food to Krishna and then eat, a process which nourishes the body spiritually. By such action, not only are past sinful reactions of the body vanquished, but the body becomes immunized to all contamination of material nature. When there is an epidemic disease, an antiseptic vaccine protects a person from the attack of such an epidemic. Similarly, food offered to Lord Vishnu and then taken by us makes us sufficiently resistant to material affection, and one who is accustomed to this practice is called a devotee of the Lord. Therefore, a person in Krishna consciousness who eats only food offered to Krishna can counteract all reactions to past material infections which are impediments to the progress of self-realization. On the other hand, one who does not do so continues to increase the volume of sinful actions, and this prepares the next body to resemble hogs and dogs to suffer the resultant reactions of all sins. The material world is full of contaminations, and one who is immunized by the accepting prasadam of the Lord, food offered to Vishnu, is saved from the attack, whereas one who does not do so becomes subjected to contamination. So, this is first paragraph of the purport. And of course, here Srila Prabhupada makes reference to the previous verse, which is very important because it explains how we should eat. Yagya shishta shena santo muchanti sarva kilbishai munjate tet vakam papaya pachantyatma karanat, which means devotees of God are liberated from all sin, eating food first offered up in sacrifice to Him. Others who prepare and eat their foodstuff at their whim, disregarding sacrifice, eat nothing more than sin. So we can understand that we can either advance or degrade just by eating. And so if we eat Yagya Shishta or prasadam, then we advance, and if we eat bhoga, then we degrade. So Srila Prabhupada continues, food grains or vegetables are factually eatables. The human being eats different kinds of food grains, vegetables, fruits, etc., and the animals eat the refuse of the food grains and vegetables, grass, plants, etc. Human beings who are accustomed to eating meat and flesh must also depend on the production of vegetation in order to eat the animals. So even those who eat meat, they eat meat of those animals who are vegetarians, right? So you either vegetarian or you eat someone who is vegetarian. But the foundation of the production is vegetation, right? So vegetation is the basis for everyone's sustenance on the earth. So that's the idea, that we all live by the mercy of earth, who is producing, different products. Therefore, ultimately, we have to depend on the production of the field and not on the production of big factories. Prabhupada said no one can be happy by eating nuts and bolts, right? Of course, there are different strange exceptions from this rule. There was one guy in France who was accustomed to eat different non-organic food like metals and plastic and rubber and different kind of things like that. Strange disorder. he could consume up to 1 kg of metal every day without much harm to his body. They give list of what he ate, like different 18 bicycles, 1 computer he ate, something else, many things. But I doubt that this was the only things he was eating. This was on the top of the regular diet, right? So that's why no one can survive on nuts and bolts. So our lives do not depend on factory produce. Our lives depend on the earth, agricultural production. The field production is due to sufficient rain from the sky. And such rains are controlled by demigods like Indra, sun, moon, etc. And they are all servants of the Lord. It's very interesting that right now there is a serious issue on the planet, which is the soil degradation. I think it's calculated that every year something like 24 million acres of fertile land is lost on the planet, which is quite a large size of a Greece area is lost every year. And so they've calculated that with this kind of rate, it's already so many people on the earth, something like about 700 million people on earth. It's half of the population of India. Every night go to bed hungry. Can you imagine? Starving every day. How many of you do sometimes fasting, Janmashtami fasting, this fasting, that fasting, yeah? How many of you looking forward to breaking the fast? After fasting, feasting. How many of you looking forward to that after fasting? Yeah? Can you imagine fasting not only 1 day, 2 days, but 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, 2 months, 1 year, 2 years, lifelong fasting? Very difficult. And around 700 million people have to live like that, lacking food. Any of you are lacking food? No one's lacking food. Everyone's taking nice prasadam? Yes? How many of you taking nice prasadam say Haribol? Yeah. Why is it happening? Because we are doing Yagya, right? And then Krishna is sending so much nice prasadam. Historically, there never been a case amongst devotees, never been an issue of prasadam shortage. Excess prasadam, that's another issue. Historically, no Vaishnava died from starvation, but actually quite a few Vaishnavas died of overeating. So we have to be careful. Yeah, it's a serious issue. So Prabhupada said, even in the worst times, like he gave an example, there was a famine in Calcutta. So many people were dying of hunger. And devotees had plenty of prasadam, plus they would feed other people with prasadam. So that's Krishna's mercy. And Prabhupada said, the art of life is full stomach. Of course, we might think, what is the big deal, right? To have a lot of food, because we're used to it. Then we're looking forward to other things, right? But, for many people, that's very big issue. Why? Because they're not doing Yagya. So Srila Prabhupada continues, the Lord can be satisfied by sacrifices, therefore one who cannot perform them will find himself in scarcity. This is the law of nature. Yagya, specifically the Sankirtan Yagya prescribed for this age, must therefore be performed to save us at least from scarcity of food supply. So Yagya is giving prosperity, and prosperity starts with sufficient food and other benefits in life. So all benefits come from the Supreme Lord. Supreme Lord is satisfied by Yagya, and Yagya is giving rain, and rain is giving grain. And then that can be again used in Yagya. Sometimes, in other countries, people laugh at Vaishnavas that they are doing very strange things in life, right? Because they cannot understand that you take butter, you melt the butter, instead of using butter for food, you pour butter into the fire. What's that? Why are you burning butter, right? And then you prepare food, instead of putting food on your plate, you feed some dolls in your home, right? Because they think, deities are dolls. And because they think deities are dolls, that's why they have to go on dole in their life, right? Suffer shortage. So, externally for uneducated people who don't have spiritual education, these seem to be very strange, rituals, right? For example, even chanting Hare Krishna mantra might seem to be very strange ritual, right? Because in fact, these are only 3 words in different combinations, right? Hare Krishna Rama, that's all. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And you chant like that on and on and on. And people think this is very strange. What's the benefit of saying the same words again and again, right? They can't even believe that it might produce any good result. And possibly even some of us, before we started practicing Krishna consciousness, we didn't really believe that this mantra will give some big results in life. How many of you had this kind of doubts before you started practicing? Anyone? Few of you had doubts. I had very serious doubts. Because, I was thinking there could be some mantra, but mantra, Jai Shri Shri Radha Gopinath ki Jai, Shri Shri Gopal ki Jai, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Because I was thinking mantra must be very complicated, but Hare Krishna mantra seemed to be very simple to give any serious results. But then my friend said, you don't have to believe anything. You just try, you will see the results in your own life. So I'm trying that for nearly 40 years. Results are pretty good. And so, this is, that's why Prabhupada says, this is not a religion, this is spiritual science, right? Because in science, you have theory, you have experiment, and you have result, right? And what do we have? Sambandha, Abhidaya Prayojana. What is Sambandha? Sambandha means theoretical knowledge. Okay, there might be God up there, and his name might be Krishna. Okay? So, and I might be connected to that God. So how do you check? Abhideya is very simple. You just chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then what's the result? Well, they say, Acharyas are saying that result is developing Krishna Prem, love of Krishna. That's very high result. I'm not sure if anyone here feels you fully developed Krishna Prem. Not yet. But we may not have fully developed love for Krishna, but one thing we can realize very quickly, even though we may not have so much love for Krishna now, but we can see Krishna has love towards us. How many of you feel that Krishna loves me? Okay, yes. And what is devotional service? Krishna has so much love for us, so he gives us so much. And what is devotional service? What is bhakti? Give at least something back to Krishna, right? It's a reciprocation. He's looking after us so nicely, he's giving us so much, so let us also do something for him and give something back to him. Simple. And the more you give to Krishna, the more you get back, and it never ends like that. And that's why it's very simple. It's very scientific. Probably many of you heard of Pancha Kosha, 5 levels of consciousness. Yes. Anamaya, Pranamaya, Manamaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya. So Anamaya is basic level of consciousness. That is consciousness of food. You see little children, they always want to put everything in their mouth, right? Because that's the sense which is developing first in human body, right? Tongue, taste. So little kid wants to taste everything, right? So parents have to be very vigilant to make sure that kid doesn't put something which is not supposed to go into the mouth. So very basic level. Then pranamaya is higher level of relationships, right? That it's not only me and my sense gratification, but there are other people. I have to share. Not only I should take, but I should also learn to give. So that's pranamaya, right? Then manamaya, responsibility. And vijnanamaya, knowledge, spiritual knowledge specifically, right? And anandamaya is, of course, spiritual practices, our relationship with the Supreme Lord. And so that's why you can see, for example, even coming to this temple, how many people come for spiritual knowledge? All of you are, because you stayed back. How many people come to socialize? More people come to socialize, right? And now, how many people come for prasadam? You will see. In the class, there are few people. Kirtan, little more. Prasadam, full on. Because this is the basic, right? Attraction. People might not be attracted by other things, but prasadam, you know, it's the form of Krishna everyone can relate to. We may not feel so much separation from Krishna in other forms, but if we are missing prasadam, That's very acute agony of separation from Krishna, right? Where is my Krishna? In the form of plate of prasadam. So that's something we can relate to. And that's why Krishna explains that this is the basic result of Yagya. Yagya produces rain, rain produces grain, and grain gives sustenance, right? If we have nice prasadam, then we can worry about other things. If we don't have prasadam, then, philosophy will make very little impact. We would be looking for something to eat. So, yeah, that's why Krishna explains that it's important, and it's something which has great power. So, Srila Prabhupada says, if someone's taking prasadam, then one becomes immune to the influence of material nature. And he himself, when he was preaching in Western countries, the people, the kind of people who joined the movement, they knew absolutely nothing about what is Krishna and Bhagavad Gita, chanting, goal of life. They didn't even know that they're not their bodies. And very heavily influenced by material energy and illusory energy. And the spiritual practices Srila Prabhupada was suggesting seemed to be very heavy for them. And many of them would actually drop out from ISKCON, could not practice any longer. And especially, most of the devotees stayed in the temple, because outside of the temple there was no Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness oasis was only temple, right? Especially in Western countries. Of course, in Bharat you are fortunate because, there are many Vaishnavas. According to statistics, there are between 600 and 700 million Vaishnavas in Bharat. That's pretty high number, right? It's almost, not exactly half, but nearly half of the population of Bharat, right? You can say at least every third person you meet is a Vaishnava, right? I spent some time in UK, United Kingdom. It has only 60 million people. So 600 million is 10 times bigger than UK population. That's India alone. That's how many Vaishnavas are here. But if you look closely, how many of those Vaishnavas, they actually follow anything? How many of them have any spiritual knowledge? Very few, right? Any of you coming from this kind of background, that you were born in this culture, in Vaishnava culture, but only after you met Srila Prabhupada's books and devotees, you actually learned the value of Vaishnavism. Any of you from this category? So we can see. And so that's why it's really important to spread spiritual knowledge, because people have greatest gift in their lives and they are not valuing it enough, right? And so, anyway, back to Western preaching. When Srila Prabhupada started, he noticed that some of his followers, they drop out at night. When everyone's sleeping, they leave the temple and they disappear. And Prabhupada decided to do something about it. So he decided to put a trap to prevent his followers from disappearing. What was the trap? He was preparing very nice prasadam, gulab jamuns. How many of you like gulab jamuns? Okay, universal. So can you imagine gulab jamuns prepared by Srila Prabhupada personally? We can't imagine. Something out of this world. And Prabhupada personally cooked big pot of gulab jamuns, and he would set this pot at the exit of the temple. And at night, one follower would try to sneak out of the temple to disappear. And then he would see big pot of gulab jamuns at the door. And he was thinking, okay, I'm leaving, and probably I'll never be able to taste another gulab jamun again. So before going, let me have at least one gulab jamun. So he would take one gulab jamun, and you know, where there is one gulab jamun, he feels lonely, right? He needs company. Second gulab jamun, third, fourth, 6th, 10th, 15th, 20th. And then he would get so tired, he would lay next to the pot and fall asleep. And then devotees would actually know that you go to the back door, you will see someone sleeping next to the pot of gulab jamuns. You wake him up, you send him to Mangalaratik, so he will stay on in the temple. So Prabhupada would prevent them from leaving. Power of prasadam. That's why he says, one who takes prasadam becomes protected from the influence of material energy. Actually, this is very simple question, that if I leave devotee association, where will I get my prasadam from? Right? So, and that's why actually prasadam changes everything. Now we have very blessed time of Srila Prabhupada's marathon, distributing books. How many of you take part in book distribution? Please raise your hands. A couple of people do. How many of you would like to take part? Okay, more, that's good. So, it's not easy to encourage people to take Prabhupada's book, but it's much easier to encourage people to take some nice prasadam. So, because much more people relate to prasadam than to philosophy. And so devotees in Russia, they knew that very well, and they were using this technique. One devotee, he would go out with books and prasadam. Very nice sweets. And he would offer the book, go door to door. And if someone would refuse, if someone would take the book, he would give them sweet also on the top. But if someone would refuse the book, he would give them sweet anyway. And next day, he would go to the same doors where people refused to take the books but got prasadam, and all these people would take books without any exception, because prasadam already changed their consciousness. And I also had this experience. I tried that. I had gulab jamuns in Russia, right? We prepared gulab jamuns, and of course, in India, everybody knows what is gulab jamun. But in Russia, hardly anyone knows. So this was a big surprise for people. I would, think, how do I explain what is gulab jamun? It's very hard. So I was telling them that it is very special fruit without seed or skin. but it's very juicy. So you have to take it full into the mouth, because if you bite, then the juice will come out and will soil your garment. So you put the whole thing in your mouth and then you chew inside. So people would do like that, kind of smaller gulab jamun so that they easily fit into the mouth. And the reaction was the same. People would look at it and put it into the mouth, close the mouth, and start chewing, and then they would feel so ecstatic. They would say, "Mmm." They could not open their mouth because they knew that the juice will come out. They would, "Mmm." And then after that, there was no question. They would take books, sets of books. No problem. They would feel so inspired. One man was with his wife, so I gave him gulab jamun, and I gave his wife gulab jamun, and both of them took one set of books. I don't know why did they need two sets, because they are the family. But each of them took the set of books. So this is the power of prasadam, right? I was in the airport, and few people were drinking some alcohol and, taking chocolate together with alcohol. I told them that this is better than chocolate. This sweet is better than chocolate. They took gulab jamuns. All of them gave up their drinking, took Prabhupada's books. So this is the power of prasadam. I mean, I had unlimited experience how powerful prasadam is, how it's changing people's consciousness. I can tell you stories until tomorrow morning. But this is the idea. Well, first is that we ourselves, that if you remember, this verse says, where the Yagya is coming from, Yagya karma samudbhava, that Yagya is born from prescribed duty. Prescribed by whom? By what? By Shastra and Guru, right? So if we follow Shastra, if we follow Guru, then we can do Yagya. So this is the first and foremost important thing, that we actually follow the guidance, not from our mind, but do what Krishna in Shastra tells us and do what Guru tells us, because Guru tells us exactly the same thing the Shastra tells, right? Exactly same thing what Krishna tells. And that's why we distribute Shastra, we distribute Prabhupada's books, because this is both Shastra and Guru, two in one, right? Bhagavad Gita and Prabhupada's purpose, Prabhupada's commentaries. So people would actually understand what is their prescribed duty, what they're supposed to be doing. And in order to convince people, we have to have spiritual strength. How many of you have this experience that if you have spiritual strength, you can convince other people? If you don't have spiritual strength, you cannot convince. Anyone has this experience? So, how do we have spiritual strength? Simple. First, starting with prasadam. Do not take anything which is not prasadam. No matter how nice it is, how tasty it is, understand it's poison, right? It destroys your spiritual life, so don't take it. Take only prasadam. And give prasadam to others. Prasadam is a very interesting thing. It's interesting to hear about prasadam. More interesting to see prasadam. But most interesting is to actually have prasadam, right? prasadam is something, if you only hear about it without tasting, you become even frustrated. So we have a good news for you. We're going to have special Mahaprasadam for all of you at the end of this class, coming from Sridham Mayapur, Shri Shri Radha Madhava Mahaprasad. So, but yeah, before we finish, we'll give opportunity to ask whatever questions you have or whatever you want to add. So hopefully we should have a microphone to pass around. And so to finish what we were discussing, that this is the first and foremost thing, that only take prasadam and give others prasadam, because whatever you give, that much you will have in your life, right? Whatever you hold on, that much you will lose. That's the paradox of Krishna consciousness, right? People think whatever I'm holding on to, that will I have. No, they're gonna lose that. And whatever they give, especially if they give to Krishna, Guru, Vaishnavas, that much they will always be theirs, right? And so, by following these basics, prasadam, probably all of you by now know about A, B, C in spiritual life, right? Association, books, chanting, and D is diet, right? What is diet? Only prasadam, right? So take only prasadam, chant, this is your Yagya, minimum 16 rounds on your beads, right? Have good association and read Prabhupada books, and then you will be able to distribute Prabhupada's books because you will have spiritual strength and inspiration. Hare Krishna. So let's see if anyone wants to say something, please.
Hare Krishna. It is a very, very interesting time for you to ask question to Prabhu who has come from all the way from Russia. So please feel to ask your questions if there is anything. Please feel. Make it short and sweet, like prasadam.
Hare Krishna. So my question is, in this world, current world, is moksha possible? In this current world, there's manipulation, everything, and you go through a lot of office thing, personal thing. So how can one get enlightened, and how can one get moksha?
How one can get moksha? Well, moksha is just a beginning of spiritual life. That's why Bhagavad Gita is explained to be the basics, ABC of spiritual life. And the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita is moksha yoga. Sarva dharmam parityaja mamekam sharanam braja. Krishna says, abandon all other dharmas and just surrender unto me. So, if we surrender unto Krishna, then we're going to be liberated from material existence. But it's also important to understand how do we act in our liberated state. Because, say, moksha, you can compare to vacation, right? You work very hard, and then finally you have your vacation, right? You feel liberated, correct? How many of you feel like that? When you go on vacation, you feel a little bit liberated. But imagine if that vacation is lasting not only few weeks, but few months, few years. Your whole life is one big vacation. After a while, you will feel bored, right? You will feel, I'll have to do something, right? So that's why if you're aiming at moksha, it's very hard to get moksha. But if you're aiming at bhakti, moksha will come automatically. Srila Prabhupada gave example that if you are studying and if you're trying to get the best grades possible, you want to excel at your exam and you study very nicely, even if you get very, difficult, tough questions, you will still pass because most of the material you know very well. But if you study just to pass, there is a very good chance of failure, correct? So that's why, if you want to excel, you have to go beyond moksha. Go for bhakti, then moksha will come automatically. But if you're aiming at moksha, another example, someone in prison house trying to get liberated from prison, right? And trying to tell everyone, I'm innocent, let me out of this prison, this and that. Very difficult, right? But some people, they get released from prison even without asking to get released. What kind of people? Those whose behavior is very proper, very perfect behavior. And everyone thinks, this kind of person doesn't belong to this prison house. He has to be free. So in the same way, if we act perfectly, and what is perfect action? That's bhakti, right? So if we excel at bhakti, then moksha will come automatically. But if we aim at moksha, we may not get it. So that's the understanding. Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So, I just had a simple question. Like, I have seen many people starting their journey towards spirituality, but the journey gets adulterated somewhere with superstitions. And bhakti gets adulterated with superstition, and it reaches out negative effects, which have, which we see consequences on the mental health, and the direction and the aspiration gets killed. So how do you advise people who mix superstition with bhakti and get into a wrong road, come back to the right road towards the moksha?
Yeah, superstition means sentimental understanding and something I believe should be true, but it's just my concoction. But if someone follows authorized guidelines, authorized direction, then one will not be bewildered. So it's very important to have proper guidance on the path of bhakti. Then even if you have difficulties, even if you have doubts, you can always clarify those doubts and you can always get help to overcome those difficulties. But if you think you figured it out and you don't need any guidance, then of course it's very risky. And superstitions means one is guided by one's mind, not by authorized guru or authorized representative and shastra. Yeah? It's answering your question. Okay?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu,
Hare.
what is Krishna consciousness and how can we act in transcendental loving service of Krishna?
Wow, that's a very high question. So, the name Krishna consciousness is actually coming from Rupa Goswami's definition in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati Kriyatam Yadi Kutopi Labhyate Tatra Laulyamapi Mulyamekalam Janma Koti Sukrita Nalabhyate. he says that Krishna Bhakti Rasa, so this is what Krishna consciousness means. Krishna Bhakti Rasa, that Bhakti means devotional service, right? Towards Krishna, Krishna Bhakti, and Rasa means our relationship with Krishna, different levels of our relationship with Krishna. And he said, this is the most important thing. And this is something which is not attainable in the whole world. In the material world, it's not possible to attain this. And there is only one possibility to attain it, and it is very, very strong desire, which he compared to greed, right? Tatra lolyam api mulyam ekalam. He said there is only one mulya, there is only one price, and that is lolyam, very strong desire to attain it. Because even janma koti sukrita nalapyate, that even unlimited lifetimes of pious activities, they don't give you Krishna Bhakti. So Krishna consciousness means loving feeling directed towards Krishna and our loving relationship with Him. So that's the definition of Krishna consciousness. And this is how we achieve it. And of course, if we don't have very strong desire, then we have to associate with those who have strong desire, understand why they value Krishna consciousness so much, and then we will become like that also. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So I'm very at the beginning of my spiritual journey. So to continuation of his question, I want to know how to do bhakti. So you said moksha should not be the aim. The aim should be bhakti, right? So I want to know that how, at the beginning I should be doing it.
Yeah, as we explained, bhakti is very simple thing, that we understand that God is there, right? And God is looking after us, right? It's very simple to understand the presence of God in our lives. Otherwise, who gave us clean air? Who gives us clean air? We know who pollutes the air, that's clear. But who gives us the clean air? Who gives us clean water? And for example, because if water is not salty, if there is no salt, because salt is preservative, right? If salt is not added, water goes bad, right? Rots. So, but you can see the ocean water doesn't go bad. Why? Because there is salt in there. And, very simple question, who added so much salt to the water that it stays fresh? There are so many things. Like who created it all? Who is running it all? Who gave me opportunity to think, feel, and, everything in my life. So if I understand God is there, He gave me life, He gave me strength, He gave me intelligence, He gives me so many things, He gave me so many opportunities. What am I doing for Him? So that's bhakti, right? And it starts with a very simple thing. Srila Prabhupada recommends chanting Krishna's names because that helps us to remember Krishna. So when we chant, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, it's a very good opportunity to think of Krishna and develop our relationship with Krishna. And it's not something we made up. It's not something even Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made up. It's coming from the beginning of creation, this Hare Krishna mantra. If you know anything about Veda, most Vedas are consisting of Upanishads. Upanishads are the fundamental texts of Vedas, and different Upanishads, they are given for different purposes. So of all the Upanishads, there is one which is called Kali Santaran Upanishad. And Kali Santaran means to cross over the Kali, the age of Kali we live in. So this Upanishad is explaining how do we cross over the age of Kali, get rid of all the troubles of this age. So this is conversation between Narad Muni and Brahma, his father. And Narad Muni is asking Brahma in this Upanishad, these poor people who live in Kali Yuga, how can they get delivered from all the bad effects of Kali Yuga? And Brahma says there is only one way. Iti Shodashakam Namnam Kali Kalmasha Nashanam Yata Parataropayat Sarva Videshu Drishyate. Natat Parataropayat Sarva Videshu Drishyate. That there are only 16 special names of the Supreme Lord, Nam, which capable of fully eradicating all the contaminations of the age of Kali. Kali Kalmasha Nashanam. And that's why Nata Parataropayat Sarva Vedeshu Drishyate. Even if you search through all the Vedas, you will not find better method than these 16 names of God. And which names of God? This Kali Santaran Upanishad gives. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So it doesn't matter who are we. We might be Jews, we might be Christians, Muslims, Buddhists, Hindus. If we live in Kali Yuga, this is the most powerful method of spiritual advancement, which is given to all the residents of Kali Yuga, Hare Krishna mantra. And if you chant it, you will see the results for yourself. So chant, associate with devotees, take prasadam, read Prabhupada's books, ABCD, your life will be perfect in very short time. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So I have started my corporate journey this year, and I wanted to know how would I balance my spiritual responsibility and worldly responsibilities.
How to combine spiritual and worldly responsibility.
How to balance between how to get balance between
balance,
them. Yeah.
Okay. So, the advice is given by one of our acharyas, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He says, Krishna Rasamsara Koro Chadi Anachar. This is Bengali language, but the meaning is that you live in this world which belongs to Krishna, and the only thing is to avoid anachar, the bad activities. Jivedoya Krishna Nam Sarva Dharmasar, that the name of Krishna is very compassionate towards all the living entities, and it's the essence of all spiritual practices. So, if we understand that this is the world of Krishna, that our life is given to us by Krishna, our intelligence is given by Krishna, our strength is given by Krishna, all the opportunities are given by Krishna, then whom should we dedicate all this? To Krishna only, right? So even if you are at your workplace, you should dedicate your work towards Krishna, because you understand it's part of serving Krishna. And then the results of your work, the profits, also have to be used for Krishna. So, real Krishna consciousness means you stop differentiating this is spiritual, this is material. But everything so-called material, you do for Krishna, and there are many, many devotees in this community which figured it out how to fully apply themselves to service of Krishna even at their workplace. One devotee, he is a dentist, Radha Swami's disciple, and one time my Guru Maharaj, Shalindra Dumna Swami, he went for his dental work to his office, and we were very surprised to see his dental office, because he had, you know, Vaishnava dress, Vaishnava tilak, and he was wearing this apron, so he looked like a cook rather than dentist. And he had big picture of Krishna. No, first of all, he had Prabhupada bhajans playing at his workplace so that everyone would get holy names. Then, you know, he had big Ladu Gopal deity and some prasadam. So, and, you know, the patients would lie down in the chair, and on the ceiling he put very large painting of Radha Krishna so that people would look at Radha Krishna while their dental work is going on. So hearing Krishna's names, looking at Krishna, and at the end he would give everyone big laddu, even though you're not supposed to eat anything for a couple of hours. I don't know how that works out. But anyway, we were very surprised how much he spiritualized his workplace. So there are many, many devotees in this community who spiritualized their work and their family to very high level. So you can easily look what they've done and you can think how you can follow in their footsteps. All right? Thank you all very much. So we will have to take a break before the final darshan, and we're going to have 5 minutes for Maha Prasad from Sri Sri Radha Madhava, and we're going to be doing that right now. Hare Krishna. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande. So all of you can come and have your Mahaprasadam before the final darshan of Sri Sri Radha Gopinath.